welcome once again to Working for Scale, episode 5.
Brought to you by Orash for Torg, Steve's favorite game.
Still haven't played in any Torg, Charles. One day we've got to resolve that.
Gotta get that fixed.
All right, well, Torg aside and this campaign forward, I believe that last session was a very successful and positive one for the party. Walking out with solutions and not with more problems.
We finally procured the item from the Ettercap. We took it back to town. We were still pretty beat up, pretty hurt. But we went back to town. Ryan was mostly pleased with us, but we didn't really get the Ettercap to sign an NDA or anything, so that was kind of one little thing that we didn't do right, but for the most part. We got our reward and some time off. Basically, the rest of the time that we had allotted to do this task, we now have it off. We upgraded our weapons and armor. We bought more potions. And we decided to go our separate ways and would meet up after lunch the next day. Al returned to the commune. Alan was pissed.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Al.
No, I was to say he's a good roommate. Go ahead.
Well, as a way of making it up to him, he got Debobi groomed with a bandana and a little thing like a sign or something that said Alan. Was it a sign or was it on the bandana? It said Alan is the best.
It's on the bandana.
Yeah, it was embroidered on the bandana.
All right, yeah. So he got that. Narissa got home and her parents were fighting in an unknown language. She snuck upstairs to try to avoid them, but she couldn't do that forever. Father knocked on her door and told her to hurry up. They ate dinner. She basically bluffed her way through and said that she was successful, although she's not sure how much he believed her, but she was like, oh yeah, I totally became the leader and got more of the share of money. Totally. Parents started... What was that, Charles?
I said, I did a great job, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was great. I'm the best. So then they started fighting again, and she finished her dinner and went to her room. Eli met up with his friend in the barracks, and they told a new joke. The friend told a new joke. They went out for target practice, and the friend was trying to tell him get him to tell how he got this position, and he just won't believe Eli for some reason. Frey went home and talked to the doorman, and something had happened between the cook and Frey's mother. The mother told Cook to take the day off and they would order food in. The house staff was on edge. A maid accidentally bumped into Frey and started apologizing profusely, and that was kind of where we left off. And we leveled up.
Yeah.
So we need to roll some hit points.
Indeed you do. Everybody need to do a hit die roll here.
I forgot. What do I do?
Hit the button that says hit points above your character sheet. Eli, re-roll. That is on a d10. All right. Frey, that is a re-roll for you as well.
Ooh, this is exciting. I've never rolled for an animal companion before.
There you go. Get a good roll, that is, at that.
Woo! Look at that.
All right.
Damn.
Please remember to add your favorite class bonus is always included, and then add your and then add that to your total and add it to the last tab on your sheet. Remember, there is under the configuration tab the HP by level. Make sure you put in level 2, the total, the number that you rolled, and then the total that you got.
Wait, sorry, where are we putting this
on the configuration tab, the third tab, there is a level, there's an HP by level tab. There, push the little plus arrow, the little plus button, and then type in the level, the die you rolled, and then the total hit points that you ended up with.
So the quantity is just one die?
No. Quantity is what is the die that you rolled.
Oh. Okay.
And then the total bonus is in the total category.
So I put 10 because I'm a D10.
No, so your first part should be level. Your level should be 2.
Oh, I didn't actually see that.
And then the die that you rolled, so the total roll that you got was the die itself was a 5. So that would go on the quantity tab.
Okay.
And then your total would be whatever it is plus your favorite class. So that would be 6, basically. Because you don't have a con
I'm never
modifier.
gonna remember this, but okay.
Do familiars gain HP?
Familiars do, but they only gain HP when you gain hit dice. And I believe for levels 1 and 2, they do not get a hit die increase.
Animal
So we get-
companions do.
One more hit point than we rolled.
Yes. Unless you have a con bonus, in which point you get whatever your con bonus would be. All right. So,
I doubled my hit points.
yeah.
Well, one of us did, yeah.
So, days will pass. After being on such a stressful thing, it is customary. After being on such a, not stressful, but an exhaustive or, dangerous mission, it is customary that the party will receive some downtime to recover from taking on such a mission. And being that you're working sort of directly under Rhyme, there's not a lot of local responsibilities that you do. You guys might get called if there's something specific to each of you, but over these couple of days, it's not really likely to happen. Things will just kind of pass along. In the meantime, Narissa, your family just kind of stays out of the way for the most part. They don't give you any more hassle. They'd like to see you getting some work done, but at the same time, they know the way that the system kind of works. And so they're not being aggressive in trying to push you into things. Frey, you find that the staff is more evasive than usual around you. Your family is not around during much of this time. Cook doesn't return during the days that you are gone. They've been hiring in interim cooks to come in and prepare some things. But each time you have wandered around, you find that your access to the kitchen seems to be limited. As if there might be maybe some sort of spell or something that is prohibiting you from moving into that area. Al, your relationship with Alan is doing better overall. It is much more calm and balanced. And Eli, you staying at the barracks, further your relationship with the friend that you are starting to have close in more with you.
Close in?
And that's not the right way to phrase it. I'm not doing
We're just getting closer, you mean?
Yes, that's the way. That's not quite what I wanted to say, but it'll work. I got my wrong notes here, which is annoying. I got part of my right notes and then part of my wrong notes.
Trying to be a Jess now, huh? Well, Jess.
Oh, I had my full list of notes and not my just notes for this campaign. So I was scrolling and I was there's too many notes here. Too much clutter. But eventually the party will check in for one of their days of work and will be told that they have a meeting scheduled with Rhyme in just about an hour. You all can choose to meet up before that if you'd like, or you can wait to meet up with her. If you wanted to meet up, you yourself would have to indicate that you're planning to go to your own private meeting room before that. Otherwise, you'll all kind of probably prep at different times and arrive at different times. So it's up to you what you guys...
Meet up for lunch or something?
No, like, you only have an hour from the point that you check in. So you come in for the day, check in, and you each kind of get a notification that you have a meeting in an hour to meet with Rhyme.
I'll probably just head directly to wherever you wait to meet with Rhyme.
Okay.
I'll do the same.
Okay.
I'll try to make myself look spiffy.
Yeah, so you guys can be waiting outside, out front. Frey, you'll have a little bit more of a heads-up notice about this. You'll know a couple of days in advance. The ministry tends to give you sort of an appointment ahead of time so you can plan out your schedule around things. In the meantime, you've been attending a number of meetings and training courses on various types of spells and some of what is happening within the city with changes in protective magics and allowable offensive magics, and going into some discussions about what magics should or should not be potentially banned or restricted or more monitored as things go on. You know that right now there is a very strong discussion going on in the ministry about the problematic consequences of allowing unvetted evocation in town. There's a movement for people to want to sort of put a lot more staunch monitoring on evocation magic. People are saying that there's a lot of fires or damage caused to property by people that are just kind of allowed to use evocation frivolously. Even the more simple spells are causing more significant damage from time to time, and it would be important to at least have a register of everywhere that evocation does occur. And do you know that for years there's been kind of this fight going on about whether or not certain magic should be either heavily tracked, mildly tracked, or just lightly tracked. And for the most part, most magic, excluding necromancy, is essentially not tracked. Some divination at higher levels is tracked, but a lot of spells are not they're not heavily tracked. Residue is instead looked for after a crime. They don't normally have in this area there was this kind of spell. However, with necromancy, especially anything above second circle necromancy, there are various units that have been put into place that will identify when a necromancy spell is cast, and it will be added to sort of a logbook of necromancy cast throughout the city. And you can go back and reference all of those spells that have been cast and where the relative location of those spells were. Largely this has happened because there have been some major issues with people digging up corpses and bringing them back as reanimated beings. Some clerics at Delamrian at one point got really full of themselves and decided they were going to make it their own personal mission to try every person in the graveyard. And so they resurrected literally every dead person there, and this kind of created this law getting put into effect, because you can't just have every person being raised as an undead person, especially when the country of Sierra Savant kind of allows for undead to have a sort of personhood as well, if they can prove a certain level of comprehension and pass a series of tests. Anyway, that aside, you can prepare for your meetup with Rhyme. And after about an hour passes, the party will be allowed entry into Rhyme's office. And once again, a cool wind will blow. Can I get fort saves from Al and Eli? Ooh, very good. So today it does not feel nearly as chilly as
I feel like that's a waste of a really great roll.
really loud, sorry.
So it's a new day, and I'm trying to remember like where I should be at with my HP, because I was down 2.
You should be back at full. It's been more than just a day, so you should be back at full by
and
now.
I'd be back at my full strength now, right?
Yes, you would. The party steps in to the office, feeling the chill, but not nearly as bad as it normally is on this particular day. Rhyme is seated at her desk as you approach. Well, it's good to see the 4 of you again. I am glad you've all continued to work under my advisement. I am very happy to announce that I have a responsibility that I feel is perfect for a group with your particular set of skills and invisibility of sorts. The eye of the rest of the Justicars and the Templars are far above you. And I need someone to look into this matter that will not excite their attentions. I have a friend, a very close ally of mine, that we've worked quite intimately together on a number of various cases. An attorney who goes by the name of Cillian Conley. He is essential to my position here within the Knights. Together we have brought a lot of bad people to the justice they deserved. And I would like to continue our relationship in such a positive manner to ensure that people end up where they need to be, and to ensure that we are always ahead of the criminal element. Now, it is important that you understand that what I am asking you to do is still, as Knights, your responsibilities will be to evaluate this from a legal perspective, and you are not directly the allies or executors of Mr. Conley's demands. You are merely there to follow up on the details that he has questions about and ensure that we come to the correct answers and work towards the proper execution of the law in the situation. It is my understanding that Mr. Conley has a client of his that he represents, that he is supposed to be in frequent contact with, and something has occurred to cause disruption in that contact. It is your duty to figure out why and whether or not we need to bring in that contact and potentially execute more advanced interrogations against him, or if we need to deem his actions to be potentially criminal in not following a regimen that was assigned to him, and make sure he is incarcerated as necessary.
What's the contact's name?
A what?
What is the contact's name?
Hold on. She looks around for a moment. Hold on. And she, waves her hand in the air for a moment, and a, folder appears in it, and she sets it down on her desk and, opens it up and starts flipping through a couple of pages. Phineas Ashworth. Go ahead.
And Mr. Conley is concerned because Phineas has kind of vanished. Is that it?
It is not that he has vanished. It is that he is no longer willing to communicate with Mr. Conley. However, there are legal statutes in place that obligate Mr. Ashworth to be in communication with Mr. Conley.
I'll try to help, but I don't have any legal background for this evaluation.
Well, we believe that there may be some additional things that are necessary to accomplish this. if Mr. Ashworth is unwilling to be cooperative, it may be something that we need for all of you to bring Mr. Ashworth in, but it is up to you to make that determination as to whether or not this is our best course of action. Or perhaps there's some sort of misunderstanding, or there is some sort of coercion going on, or some other thing that you may need to solve related to the circumstances behind Mr. Ashworth's sudden unwillingness to cooperate. I understand your concerns, Eli, but I feel you are well suited for the task I'm assigning to you.
Well, thanks. That's nice of you.
You're very welcome.
And they're both here in the city?
They are both here within the city, yes.
Al is holding his hand up to things to see if he can see them, having taken the literal definition of invisibility for a second there.
Yeah, she will stop you. What are you doing there, Al?
You said we were invisible?
Al, that is a figure of speech. My apologies. I mean to say that people in a certain position of power are not as willing to focus their attention on people like you, the up-and-comers. They tend to overlook them. They tend not to cast their gaze even in your general direction. So for some time, I will be able to have you all accomplish certain things without having their attention drawn to you.
Okay. All right. You got it.
Excellent.
And how long do we have to accomplish this?
If we do not work out some sort of arrangement with Mr. Ashworth within the next 5 days, unfortunately, he will be deemed in breach of contract with Mr. Conley, and he will be picked up by the ministry before then. So it is imperative that we work quickly.
Are we allowed to find out what kind of contract is going on between them?
You will get some limited detail. You are allowed some limited details. However, some of what is happening with Mr. Ashworth is related to medical conditions that he is currently experiencing, and these things are not allowed to be made public at your current classification level.
Do we need to get a higher classification?
I unfortunately cannot raise your classification at this time.
We can't raise it either, I guess.
That is correct. Only I or others of my stature or of my position would be able to make such a recommendation, and that would still even take significant time before then. But we do not have significant time. We have minimal time. I was hoping this issue would resolve itself, but that seems not to be the case. That's why I've asked you.
Okay.
Good questions, though. Any others?
Are there any risks that you think we should be aware of for this project?
None that I am aware of. I don't think there's any potential physical danger to any of you. It does not seem like there is any sort of foul play involved, but we don't rule out the idea that perhaps a group might be attempting to coerce Mr. Ashworth, or putting him in a position that might create complications for him. And if so, you may have to get some level of physical involvement to deal with that circumstance. And if you feel it is out of your control, perhaps refer it back to me so we can assign the proper teams to deal with that issue. But I would prefer, if best we can, to make sure this stays between us, and preferably not have to involve any additional teams.
So I presume our first objective then is to meet with Mr. Conley?
That is correct. He will give you additional details in accordance with what he sees fit. You may ask him a handful of questions. You may have questions that I have not been able to ask him. I am quite deliberately attempting to, in this particular situation, be in a minimal contact with him to ensure that... I guess I should be very clear with you. There are a number of Justicars that are looking to try to use this current fear of our kind to push me out of my seat. And if I am to show signs that some of my decisions have created weakness or instability in the system, they would capitalize on those to try to get me de-seated. I am therefore making sure that I only have a minimal docket regarding this case. And we are treating it as though it is just a simple missed communication verification that the four of you will be doing. A very low-level case that you may choose to work more detailed should you find things be more complicated without having to report back on my authority. So long as you don't share that with anyone else.
We will be discreet.
Thank you.
I'll kind of look around and see if anyone else has questions, and then I'll just say, we will get on this right away, and salute.
Excellent.
Where do we find Mr. Conley?
She'll slide the folder over to you. These are the details of the case. Feel free to review them. They feature any addresses you may need to know regarding this case, including Mr. Conley and Mr. Ashworth's residences and business, respectively.
Should we check in with you at any point during the 5-day window that we have, or you'd prefer us?
Only check in when things are complete, or when you feel it necessary to bring in another crew to resolve this issue, or any complications you may have. Otherwise, I do trust your judgment.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, and the four of you can take leave.
All right, when we get out of the office, it is probably just a disagreement, and if we just act as intermediaries, I still don't know what accent I'm trying with this fucking guy, but it's going to be something someday. Perhaps we will be able to just have them be chummy again. I believe the saying is.
I'm sure.
The illusory door person asks you to not have your discussions in front of the door.
They said, please leave.
Okay. All right.
I was just going to say that we should probably take this conversation to our private room.
Yeah.
If only there was a fancy restaurant, a casual dining experience we could go to.
Nope, that doesn't exist. Wrong country.
If only.
You can head to your private meeting room and discuss any details you would like to regarding your plans for this case.
Okay, let's head to our private meeting room, since just doing it in the hall.
There is not. You can order in food if you want. You can order in food if you want. You could place a delivery order and have something brought in for you. But somebody will have to pick it up from the front desk and bring it back to your meeting room.
Are you hungry, Eli? Did you not have a nice breakfast of roasted boar belly and eggs?
That was not my breakfast. I just, food is good for company.
I look down, I go, no, we don't have any boar belly right now.
Yeah.
Calm down.
I'll kind of say sorry to Bobe.
Dubobe keeps trying to gnaw at whatever that... She's wearing this bandana that she keeps trying to gnaw down at.
Not gonna happen.
She can't quite get it each time. She gets a tiny little corner of it and then pulls it up, but then it chokes her a little bit, so she has to let go.
Stop, we're trying to show Alan we are good friends.
Alan's not here right now, silly.
I'll say you embroidered the bandana with a message for Alan.
We and now, as if he was talking for somebody else, are being good roommates.
And how does Alan like that?
Things are better.
I'm glad to hear it.
When you're in the village, you're not going to love everyone, right? So we must all work and try to be together to be harmonious.
Well
and then
said.
there's like a side eye of like harmonious.
So, should we make a game plan?
Yes. I'm assuming, are we in our room now?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. I was just going to say, I think we all need to remember whenever we have a case like this to try and, as best we can, only talk about it in a secure place like this. You never know who's listening.
Fair enough. That was a
Oh,
very
not
good.
like the hallway, you mean? That was funny.
Right, exactly. I'm
just
just
think
saying,
they're
I'm not trying to offend
Shame
anybody.
anyone.
Yes, exactly. I'm just saying, just to keep in mind, we never know who's listening. But I figured we could possibly go talk to Mr. Conley. Depending on how long that takes, maybe we can get some lunch or something.
I could go for some lunch.
So you're gonna meet with Mr. Conley first and then get lunch.
Yes.
Okay.
Should we invite Mr. Conley to lunch?
No, we need to make sure that whatever he has to say to us is private.
Okay.
And then
Fair
what are
enough.
your plans after lunch? Are you gonna play it by ear to see what Mr. Conley has to say?
That was kind of my thought, yes. Is we'll see what he has to say. Based on what he has to say, then we can decide what we're going to do after lunch.
Is the party in agreement? Does anybody have objections?
I think Devobi might want to play it by nose instead of.
All right. That's the best.
Me and
joke
my
of the
roommate,
evening,
we're
officially.
having
Yeah.
some good jokes.
We're getting it. The hyena's comedy gold. I mean, I know I'm for lunch. My compatriot is for lunch at all times at any given time. So
Okay.
I
Lunch
have
is-
no objections.
All right. So the party can head to the law offices of Cillian Conley. When you arrive, you will be informed by the front desk person that it will be a few moments, that Mr. Conley is presently finishing up with a client. You could choose to interrupt the meeting if you'd like. You are members of the Knights. You do have the ability to do so. But there are,
I will say that we will wait because we don't want to draw attention to anything.
very
That
well.
would just be rude, too.
True.
About a half hour will pass, but you will be but you'll see Mr. Conley. Mr. Conley is a rather tall, sort of dwarven looking fellow, but his skin has a bit of a greenish tone to it. Not like a deep green, more like kind of an olive hue beneath a sort of pale skin. He is very wide of stature and has a very long and very twisted dark black beard, and hair that kind of stretches back but is like sort of frayed and looks almost like it was as it was burnt in the in like a fire or something and did not quite fully grow out the rest of the way. Still clean though, just very unorthodox as it gets toward the lower end of his head. He'll say his adieus to his client as they leave. And who might all of you be?
Oh, yes, we are from the Knights.
Yes. I believe I know what you'd be here to speak of. Hold my contacts in the meantime. This is rather important. The front desk person, a young halfling woman, will proceed to, move her hands across a like this intricate plate of runes, which you'll know to be kind of the Arcana Tech version of a computer, a Maginette system. She'll kind of move things around there. There'll be a few like beeps and clicks that will happen as the four of you are allowed into the rather large office of Cillian Conley. Inside, there are there's like a wall covered in various different certificates or awards or other sorts of like news clippings or various documents showcasing like the number of victories he has had in the legal system over the years. Behind and wrapping around his desk is a very full and complete series of a number of legal textbooks and journals, as well as a number of other pieces of literature, some of which you can pick out, some of which is maybe beyond some of your understanding, some of which is in texts many of you have never seen before. And sort of decorated around the room are a number of like trinkets and baubles and a rather large table that he has with a orrery that he's got kind of presented in the center of it, with the planet in the center and the three suns in the moon kind of wrapping around it. He will walk to his desk and gesture for the four of you to take a seat at the chairs before it.
I will do so.
Is everyone choosing to sit?
It's an impressive office, right? It's meant to impress.
Yes, it is definitely meant to impress.
I'm gonna take a seat.
Yep.
Well, I assume you've already gotten your what information the good lady could share with all of you. Yes.
Yes. She said that you may perhaps have additional details for us, but that she gave us the basic size of the situation.
Yes. There are details that were left out from my inquiry, which I sent to her. Details which would require certain people to have to get involved, and I'd rather us not do that. I work with a number of private investigators to handle and retrieve information when necessary, or to deliver information as needed, as I find it easier to trust those that happen to work directly with me as opposed to just finding any old agency at a price that might be more affordable. What I got back from one of them is a little unnerving. There is a sense of, how did he put it, offness about Mr. Ashworth's behaviors. Something that felt uncomfortable, unusual, referred to as rigid and slow, a little bit cold, standoffish. Mr. Ashworth is, especially more recently, becoming a much warmer person, a much more tolerable and pleasant person in some ways. However, as of late, he is denying my sendings. There is no delivery on any of the courier messages I am having sent to him. It is very peculiar.
Huh.
And you don't know anything that changed between you two?
But I know of everything was going well. I have been caring for the estate, which is connected to him, for some time. Since he has began his medical procedures as part of the agreement, things have been going smoothly. He seemed very pleased that there was a future for him, one which he himself at first did not believe he had. Unfortunately, the young lad's parents had died when he was very young, and it was very difficult for me to spend quite a number of years having to remain silent about the funds that were established for him. But once he came of age and started to show certain things, I was able to finally reach out to him and let him know that there was a promise beyond what he felt after losing his family. Very peculiar situation, but his parents were very clear about their requirements, and I am not a man to deny one's family their rights and their requests, even if they are beyond this place.
How long ago was it that he came of age and that you let him know about these resources?
It has been roughly a year now. We'll be closing in on it soon. We are closing in on the point where he should be able to take ownership of these resources very soon, once the appropriate tests have been commenced and everything has been validated. He's looking forward to it. It's quite a sum he'll inherit. Quite a significant portion of land as well. And a number of places too. He's not stuck here any further once he's acquired these resources.
Did he acquire any new friends or compatriots that might be, leading him astray?
No one he has mentioned. He's a bit of a loner. Keeps it largely to himself. Doesn't seem to like people. The guardians that he has assigned to him, that he was assigned when he was young, are rather nice to him. He seems to be happy with them. He's mentioned nothing of problem or concern having to do with either of them. But he is obligated until we have finished the terms of the arrangement to stay with them.
So you have been the one managing the estate on his behalf?
Yes, minimal work is required to manage the estate. I must simply pay out some of the bills that are required on a regular basis, argue for keeping the taxes down in the locations, and ensuring that it's upkept well enough within the guidelines stated by the initial terms of the will.
And the last time that you spoke with him, he seemed just his usual self. Nothing stood out to you?
Yes, he was in very good spirits, looking forward to the coming end of all of these things.
Does he have any... so are his guardians family?
They are not family.
Appointed?
There were neutral appointed guardians, people who are well known within the system for taking care of people in circumstances similar to his, and he was assigned specifically to them due to his status, his societal status. He did not necessarily know that at the time. He was too young to understand these things when he was brought in with the guardians, but he has been given a reasonable life.
Have they been like real parents to him, or just kind of...
The closest thing to parents he truly would ever know. As far as I know, he's never spoken any single word of problem or even negative opinion regarding them.
Do you know of anyone who would be opposed to him, who would not want him to inherit everything?
Well, I mean, there are some circumstances that could result in him not acquiring the property and the estate. But many of those people are unaware of the terms relating to this, and so they would not have much they would do. I would expect them to attempt to damage the property or attempt to bring out some kind of complication to the trust that is managing that manages the businesses attached. And thus far, there has been no attempted attack on either of those things, or any sort of means of trying to discredit or devalue these things. So that I know of, there are no known enemies in this situation. That being said, however, there is always, of course, potential for greed in the Guardians. They are set to inherit quite a bit after all is said and done, and it is possible that they have it in their minds that if he were to fall apart, they might be able to inherit greater or more than what is expected. But having worked with them for as long as I have, that seems unlikely, but you asked and I must answer the question as honestly as I can.
I appreciate that.
Did he, present company excluded? Had he showed any proclivities toward, how shall we say, magical experimentation? There was a boy in my village who tried out, non-natural magic, and horrible things happened.
Mr. Ashworth is presently, and as he starts to talk, there is a sound that sounds kind of like the room, as if the room is silencing out his voice. There's like this kind of like sound that starts to happen, and after a couple of seconds he stops. Right, I could not discuss the current details of things with you, and a preventative filter on my office stops me should I inadvertently disclose information.
Smart.
Well,
I cannot unveil whether or not he has any proclivity to magic or not.
that was a random stab in the dark.
I think it is a fair question, and one which I wish I were able to disclose, but it would be up to Mr. Ashworth to disclose it to you himself.
Okay.
And where does Mr. Ashworth live?
It should be in your notes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe we have contact information for Mr. Ashworth as, what's her name?
Yes, you have both. You have contact information for both home and job site.
What does he do for work?
That's good.
You might notice that if you look over the documentation, there are a few different listings that have been redacted from time to time. Mr. Ashworth has done a number of different jobs for various companies, and each time his work has concluded, the previous employer has asked that there be no documentation of his cooperation with that agency. He's only on record as working with them during the time that he is working with them. Rather
good.
Peculiar. No, these do not seem to be for any sort of problematic circumstances. There are a few companies that do this with external contractors and various other short-term employment staff. Part of the arrangement is to ensure either their security or the information security afterwards.
So I may not be the quickest guy for getting metaphor, but I think you're talking about stuff of a highly sensitive nature to a company's future.
Yes, that is correct. Out of character, you've hit the nail on the nail on the head. He's potentially working on secret projects that companies don't like. Once they get rid of him, they need to make sure that there's no record of him having worked for them, because he could be a loose link in the chain.
How old is he?
That was 3 of Ed's jobs. Had to sign
Mr. Ashworth.
I thought he just came of age for the estate, so I was thinking he was kind of a young adult.
No. So that there's a common misconception here. Mr. Ashworth has come of age as an adult some time ago. He's been an adult now for about what we consider an adult here for about 3 years. However, the agreement, according to his the will, only had him as of about a year ago come into the start of ownership of it. It was obligated that he first find employment and manage holding down jobs for a minimum series of 1 year.
Do the jobs count even though they can't be like on record in the same way?
Yes, his employment history is still recorded as an employment history for the purposes of the will.
This is intriguing character. I want to get to know this guy just to figure out what the fuck he's doing.
Does he have any relationship partners, close friends? What can you tell us?
No, again, very, very much so a loner. Keeps largely to himself, aside from his guardians and myself.
Out of character, I assume we looked at the dossier on the way over. Did it talk about any hobbies or proclivities? Like, was he, the kind of guy that ate at the same cafe every day, that kind of thing?
No, there's no details for that. He does not seem to be. There's not a lot of public activity that's in his record. So they don't. There's not like a sign of him having a regular pattern or them seeing him anywhere. It seems like he. It seems like he's got like a more than plain life. Like if normal people were vanilla yogurt, this guy doesn't even have vanilla flavoring. This is just yogurt. And actually, looking over this, he's almost just like milk that's spoiled.
How mean.
Well, I mean, by comparison, there's nothing going on in his life externally, and so he has no flavor or substance. And the prerequisite for yogurt is to spoil a little bit of milk.
Well, to quote the TV show Barry, if he chose that line of work, his goal is to be, nondescript.
Yep.
So it may be a side effect of the fact that he's this, corporate, I don't know.
Well, so before we start making too many of these assumptions, can I get from... I believe this is going to come from Frey.
Also, let our party leader talk.
Yeah.
Been silent the whole episode.
Frey, can I get you to give me a knowledge local? Or nobility, your choice, whichever one you just prefer to roll.
Knowledge yokel.
Okay. That is enough to get some ideas here with the knowledge nobility. You know that he is almost definitely at least doing contract work, so he's probably working on short-term segments. So a lot of the stuff that Charles is saying is relatively true. It does seem like he is doing some measure of contract work, and it's obviously probably private work that they don't want people to know who exactly is working for them, for how long, and any sort of titles that they may have had. With the additional information, can you also, you or anybody else that has it, also give me you need to have ranks in it though to do this, to give me a gauge check. So I guess not from you here, Frey. Yeah. Eli, you're sort of listening to some of this, and you're getting the impression that Eli might be more like what you... I'm sorry,
Oh my.
That Mr. Ashworth might be more of what, like, you used to know from some of the... When you worked on the farm and you had, like, your farm hands, there were some of them you could really only assign one task to. And they did that task exceptionally. But when you would ask them to, like, do something else, it was like they were... It was like you were asking them to change the entire course of the world to do that other thing. And the way that this is kind of like explaining out to you, Mr. Ashworth seems like he might be the kind of person that like just does what he's supposed to do and kind of does it as he's supposed to, especially if he's in this kind of contract style of thing. There's probably a bit of a pattern to things. Go in, do the job, come out, stay kind of to yourself, which might be why there's not like a real pattern here on the documentation. But you're kind of speculating there based on that gauge.
I will share that with the party.
Well, does anyone else have any other questions for our friend here, Mr. Conley?
I can't think of anything. The things I want to ask about, he clearly can't talk about. So,
Well, we will return if something comes up, but we're going to, I believe, attempt to see if we can get some answers from Mr. Ashworth.
Thank you. Please keep me involved as new information comes to fruition.
Absolutely. I will shake his hand.
He will do the same. And with that, as you head out, why don't we take our first break? We'll see you shortly. We return to the party, making their way out of Mr. Conley's office and departing for where?
Is there a nice place to eat around here?
There are plenty of nice enough places to eat around these parts.
didn't we just eat before we left?
No,
with
you ate. The plan was to eat after.
Oh, sorry, God. Can't even remember where I'm eating. Okay, we're going upscale. I'm not against that. Do you think we'll be able to get in? I'm not, pointing at any particular individual that might prevent us from going into finer establishments, because that will make them very upset.
I mean, I don't know about any of that. I just figured I would lead us to someplace nearby to eat.
Okay.
Well, why don't you give me a knowledge local check to see how well you know the area?
All right. I can do this untrained?
You can, but you're gonna find basic places to eat with basic concepts like... Yeah, so you get a 10. So you don't know well what's good, you just know what kind of food you like and how to find the kinds of food that you like. That doesn't mean you know if it's any good or not, but you know that it's a place that has the food that you like.
Well, that's my suggestion, unless someone else has a better idea.
What's it called?
The nearby one is... Hold on. Well, what kind of food would it be that you'd be looking for?
Something rich, hearty, has meat.
Lots of
Something
meat.
That won't help me.
Right. But we're talking about what Narissa likes.
Yeah, but I'm sure Marissa would want to be accommodated.
Well, I'm not taking you to a Brazilian steakhouse.
I've heard that they do have good food.
They have salad bars and stuff too, yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of thing would lead
Brazilian
Narissa
steakhouse style bars. Ugh.
Narissa to be more along the kinds of person that wants to stop in at some kind of tavern that also has some food there. So you're leaning the party towards going to this place called the Black Cask. And Frey and Eli don't really know too much about it. Frey with that great exceptional roll there, and Eli who knows it's kind of typical tavern food.
Yeah, Narissa really enjoys something like a stew or something like that, so she's definitely selling the Black Cask.
We have a version of Yelp available to us.
You do not yet. That is to get to that, you need to buy a couple of pieces of expensive Magitech. But that would get you access to the equivalent of Yelp.
Oh, I can ask.
Yeah. Nope. Unfortunately, technology is not subsidized to the lower income people. There are things that are subsidized, like clean water and food. But when it comes to the equivalent of the internet here, that is not a subsidized commodity. Or utility, rather.
Now you know.
In fact,
Do we
even
wanna-
communications here has not been subsidized. So, like, having access to spells like sending or magic that allows for sending-esque things is still largely in the hands of those with wealth.
We
So
wanna
in
get-
short, we'll all have to use Ask Jeeves.
You would literally have to ask a guy named Jeeves what his
Yeah.
opinion was.
Do we want to get takeout so that we could go back to our private meeting room and talk?
How close are we from here to the
You can get back there,
knights?
back and forth within about a half hour or so. You're not like this. This is not a very large trip. A lot of attorneys tend to keep themselves in like an area pretty close to where the main barracks is.
Yeah, we should do that. We can talk more freely in the meeting room.
We could strategize. I'm sure the team leader has been coming up with brilliant, popping ideas this time. And I can't wait to hear them.
All right. So, on the menu, the only stew they have is pork and onions. It is pork and onion stew.
Okay, I'm gonna ask, is that a real thing?
It is.
Huh. Okay.
What else do they have, out of curiosity?
It depends on what you're looking for. The menu's pretty wide, so if you give me a food item, I can give you what they have related to it.
Okay, so do they have like a kind of like a bread or anything that you could get, like
Yes, they actually have they have a hazelnut bread that they have. It is their specialty.
They
I think
have a bloomin' onion.
They do not have a bloomin' onion.
do,
Although
do they
annoyingly, I've been craving one of those for about a week now, and there's so many calories, and they're so like not filling.
Yeah, that's why it'll be better
It
if
was
I
the
eat it with you.
exact
It's
same
not
thing.
you eating
Somebody
by
brought
yourself.
it up here at work, and I'm like, oh, I want one of those. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to eat 3,000 calories.
Yeah.
They have injera?
They have. They do not. The closest they have is like a barley porridge.
Injera's bread.
I thought that was a porridge. I've got that wrong. I'm
No,
sorry.
It's the spongy bread, that comes with Ethiopian.
Gotcha. Okay, then no, they do not.
What cauliflower items do they have?
They have some. They say they have some cauliflower in their vegetable stew.
I thought the only stew they had was pork and onion.
They don't have it on the menu. Like, you're looking at their menu and they don't have this stew on there, but they say they have a vegetable stew, and they say it's got some cauliflower in it.
Is there lard in the vegetable stew?
When
Maybe
asked,
pork broth.
no, they
It's
claim
called-
it is from vegetable stock.
Okay.
It's called Orv's stew.
Do they have any salads?
No,
No salads.
no
Okay.
salads.
Any like roasted vegetable and peel off?
They are looking at you like you are clearly in the wrong place.
They brought me here.
They offer to like make you a couple of boiled eggs and a plate of carrots.
I'll eat it.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna order the stew, and I'm also gonna order the hazelnut bread.
Okay.
Can I just get like a
I
stand?
will also ask if they have like any like waste cuttings of meat or anything that might be suitable for an animal.
Sure. They can get you some of like the gizzards and stuff like that.
Nice.
What about the other two of you?
What do they got in, between two slices of bread?
They can make you a. Let's see what we got here. they can make you a blue cheese and salted pork sandwich.
Wow. Oh, okay. We're getting all of that.
Okay.
That's fine.
So do you have any ranks in any sort of food proficiency, like either profession, cook, or knowledge, like cooking?
Me or just in anyone of us?
You, specifically.
No, I have no.
Okay,
no.
good. And how about you, Frey?
I think I'll just go with the stew.
Okay.
That's fine.
Alright, so you can all take your lunch to go. We won't worry about the cost because that's factored into your daily living expenses. And head back to your meeting room to enjoy lunch.
What's
Al-
the name of the establishment that we got lunch from?
The Black Cask.
Black Cask.
Al, can I get you to give me a fortitude save?
Oh no. Okay. Did it go through?
No, it did not yet. Maybe try it again. There we go. Oh, very good. Yeah, so this is like kind of the most uniquely flavored cheese you've ever had. It has a very like extraordinarily pungent flavor to it that just overwhelms your mouth as you're eating this. And the salted pork has this like very strange kind of texture and flavor that makes this unlike any sort of pork and cheese sandwich you have ever had. And it makes your stomach groan a little bit, a little after you've eaten it, but overall it seems to be holding okay.
Interesting flavored sandwich.
You all can smell it as he's eating it. And Charles, out of character, you would recognize what this smell likely is, as you have experienced something that smells nearly as bad as the way I picture this sandwich to smell.
Is it Pete's sandwich?
It's like Pete's sandwich.
Oh God, that sandwich.
It is a painful experience to even smell him eat this sandwich.
Okay, we must create that. Oh God, the sandwich is horrible. Does anybody want any? That was the best part of that exchange. Then he offered us both part of that sandwich.
So he offers around the sandwich to each of you if you'd like to take a bite and experience
No,
it.
thank you.
Unfortunately, I'm already filling up on the stews.
I will give Debobe the scraps that I procured.
The gizzards and offal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna throw a hunk of that offal sandwich.
Yeah. If you're gonna throw Debobe a hunk of it, then Debobe is gonna also need to make a fortitude save.
All right, I'm not going to.
Okay.
I want to clean up hyena feces.
So yeah, what do you guys want to discuss over your meal?
My life choices in eating.
Well, seems like pretty straightforward. We just need to track down the informant and find out why he stopped communicating.
You think he's just gonna like open up to us?
I mean, it doesn't seem likely, but who knows? Maybe we will win him over with our
You gonna
enticing.
flirt with him?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what he looks like first.
Maybe I'll flirt with
I
Maybe
mean,
we should all flirt with him.
him. I think Debobe should definitely flirt with him.
I look down at the Boby.
Debobe is still trying to get the...
Oh, it's trying to get the bandana.
Yeah.
I am a little concerned because when I mentioned magic, there was the restraining order.
you're worried that he might be a caster?
Not that he is a caster, but he is someone that is casting without being safe.
Well, there's a lot of unknowns here, unfortunately, due to the nature of keeping things
Unknown.
Yes. But we should definitely be prepared for, potentially, maybe he's a caster, maybe something's gone awry.
I'm thinking he was taken over by a spirit. I'm supposed to be superstitious, so this is hard for me because I'm like, how can I be superstitious when there's magic everywhere? But okay.
So so let's go over this real quick. So in my world, Charles, there is an actual phenomenon known as gremlins. So a lot of mental ailments that people have in this world, there isn't good therapy. There is a lot of people blaming it on secret creatures that exist beyond even what magic can see. There are creatures that live within your mind and within the realm between Arcana and the material realm. They believe that there's a special metaphysical realm that exists between these two. And gremlins are the source of why sometimes a spell goes kind of awkward when everything seems to have gone okay. Or why sometimes people see things that magic for some reason can't see. So rather than excusing these things as maybe this person has a psychological or physical mental impairment that's happening, they believe this to be caused by these invisible creatures. These creatures invisible to both magic and the physical world, known as gremlins, that kind of break the system and break people.
I love that, and thank you so much. Yeah,
You're
I think
welcome.
I'm totally going with that. I think he has gremlins.
What?
And I think we need to be careful. And I'm gonna relate to the young boy in my village that
with
got
the
the gremlins.
No, you don't flirt with the gremlins. You don't talk about the gremlins.
Oh, why?
Because it's a very bad thing if you have gremlins.
Yeah, saying that someone has gremlins is the equivalent of saying somebody is carrying a plague, or saying that somebody has a curse on their family. In fact, gremlins is considered to be worse by far than accusing someone of either of those two things, because a curse can potentially be cured. A pox can potentially be something a family can overcome. But gremlins is a life-destroying thing that not only destroys your life, but the lives of others around you. But you may not. But Eli may not believe in that superstition. Again, this is something you decide for yourself. If you believe gremlins are real, or if you believe gremlins are just an excuse that people make up to get out of problems that they're dealing with.
I think in Narissa's mind, it would be more of, this is just not talked about, you don't bring this up kind of thing.
Yep, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think I see it as it's a thing we are very afraid of. So, when it's kind of like a boogeyman for my people, oh, yeah, well, you mess around with, non-natural magic. That's how you get the gremlins.
Yep. You're basically summoning the gremlins by tapping into magic you shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah. So, the other thing I thought of is, and I know all cultures have that, perhaps he owes somebody some money.
I've thought of that too. That's partially why I was asking about his enemies, sometimes when somebody's set to inherit a large sum, then there are people that would subvert that. Or perhaps he himself got indebted to someone.
Well, it could be a little of both, right? Someone could have used some chicanery, because I'm sure a guy who's barely functional with the common language would use the word chicanery. Perhaps got himself a little bit over his head and was set up. Well, I mean, we're just speculating at this point, but it's good to do this and kind of get it out of the open, our thoughts. So.
If his personality is slightly different, could we potentially ask his guardians if they noticed something that could have caused the shift? Or if they've noticed specific things that are different about how he acts?
That is a good idea, especially if for some reason we're unable to talk with him directly. Perhaps we can speak with the Guardians.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Probably should do some recon by talking to the Guardians. You know,
Are
then
any
we-
of you skilled at ferreting out lies?
I'd be
who's
Gage.
got the good? What is it, Gage?
Yeah.
I have some ability.
Well, perhaps you definitely pay attention with all of this, and if it looks like someone's lying, just I would say maybe not accuse them outright, but we should definitely be aware that perhaps someone may try and lie to us.
So do we want to talk to the Guardians as the next step?
Yeah, I think the Guardian. Oh, sorry.
Think out the next few steps just so we don't have to keep coming back and forth.
Right. I was thinking that we should attempt to talk with him directly first, Mr. Ashworth, that is. We can go to his place of work. If he's not there, maybe speak with his coworkers that are there, see if they've noticed anything about him. And then we can try his home, and if he's not there, then we speak with the Guardians.
Does the dossier give like working hours? I mean, is that a thing?
Yes, it does indeed list his current working hours. So, a quick point of note so I can clarify something as well. What you're able to see because of your badges. Your badges give you viewership over certain things. So, like, if a regular person were to look at this document, 99% of this document would be redacted. There'd be nothing on this page they'd be able to see. You guys can't see his past work experience, but somebody higher up the chain probably could see his past work experience. But right now you can see where he is working and what his current hours of work are slated to be. And he would right now be at work.
I'm just sort of spitballing here. I mean, what's to say that, something's not happened to him and he may not be either place. But I would say we should prioritize trying to talk to him directly. And then if failing at that, then maybe talk with the people around him.
Do we want to catch him at home or at work?
I would think he might be more willing to talk at home.
He might be more willing to talk at home. That is true.
I think home is the safer bet.
Okay.
More relaxed.
You'll have to wait a few hours for him to get home. Just FYI.
Do we have
We
any
can scout out
information
the house there, find out where we can get a good stew.
Do we have any info on his Guardians' work schedules? Like if we expect they would be home, does he still live with them?
He does live with his Guardians. His Guardians are currently not employed. They are receiving a stipend for their guardianship.
And will that end when he takes over the estate?
The details of that are not listed here. The estate, the details of the will are not listed in any of the documentation you have access to. But a good question to ask.
I definitely think home is the place to start, so that would give us a few hours to kill.
Okay. So you guys are going to go to the home and kind of investigate the premises, get an idea of what's going on there. Do you want to try to meet with them first, or do you not want to approach until Mr. Ashworth comes home?
I would say just wait until he comes home.
Okay. The rest of you agree?
And I don't think it's sets a bad tone.
Okay. So what I would like from all of you is, can I have some perception checks to look over the location? Anybody with Knowledge Arcana or Spellcraft can make some relevant checks as well. Okay.
Knowledge Arcana and Spellcraft?
If you have ranks in it, yes. Okay. So
it's a bunch of nothing rolls from me.
and with some other good rolls here. So Eli and Narissa, you guys are roaming about the premises. You will notice this this location is sort of what would be considered moderate wealth for this area. So moderate wealth here is what we would consider like lower middle class in most places. They probably own this house, or at least like have something closer to ownership of this property. It has a series of runic protections around it, which Frey will recognize immediately to be, I guess between Frey and Narissa, you'll communicate together to recognize these to be alarm spells that are placed in the event of intrusion. The alarms will go off, and they are designed to notify a network to let somebody know that the premises has been broken into, and a team will be dispatched within a certain period of time to investigate the premises under such circumstances. The walls are also magically reinforced, but only lightly. They're not like heavily magically reinforced, but it's likely this building was built using some blend of magic as well as manpower. There are a handful of windows, and can I get a knowledge history check or a knowledge engineering check if anybody has ranks in it?
I do not.
Nope.
Okay.
We don't know. Look at that building. I wish we knew something.
With that 25 perception though, Narissa, you will need to give me a sense motive.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're like looking at things, kind of watching over the property, and you kind of do one of those glances, and you think you notice something. You think you see something move, and when you turn your head back, you definitely feel like you saw something move, and you can tell there's like the little shake of some plants nearby that are moving in a way that is not in line with the wind. But there is nothing you see there in the location. But you are definitely sure you saw something, like not close to the house, not too close to the house, but definitely within a proximity, like something else might have been watching it. But no idea as to what or where it could have gone.
All right. I won't say anything, since I seem to be the only one who saw it.
Yeah, nobody else says anything, or no one else is like looking even in that area when you notice it. Okay. But yeah, a few hours will pass.
We're just hanging out outside for a few hours.
No, we're kind of being incognito. Like I'm reading the newspaper in the middle of the street, like you see in movies.
You guys are on a stakeout.
Yeah.
We're in a nondescript white carriage.
Yeah.
A few hours later, you will see a rather tall-looking gentleman. Very tall, actually. Phineas stands about 6 feet tall. He has what looks like a point to his ears, but not like an elven point, but not quite like an elven point. And his skin has a little bit of again, that sort of olive hue that you saw in Mr. Conley earlier in the day. Not deep, but very, very faint, but clearly there. Mr. Ashworth comes up to you. You can tell it's him because you know the other two are at the home at this time. You've kind of seen people move within the house while you've been watching it, and this person comes up to the door, opens it up, and kind of heads right in on their own. The four of you can move in action.
Yep. I will go towards the house. I don't know. Is there like a gate or like a...
No, there's no gate. There's like a small sort of, not really yard, but like a little space in front of the house, but otherwise it connects pretty closely to the street.
All right, then I'll knock on the door.
Okay.
I'll come up behind Nerissa.
All right. Give me a knock.
I'm gonna sit across the street watching.
Thank you. All right, so you are across the street with Tabobe. There is a knock at the door, and they will. Someone will reply, "Hello? Who is it?"
Hello. Yes, we're here to speak with Mr. Ashworth.
The door will open very slightly, and I did not roll up their race. Hold on.
Ooh, it's gonna be a second.
Where is Frey?
There is a
I'll be up there with you.
There is a very short little woman on the other side of the door. She has like a green pixie cut, and this sort of it looks kind of like her skin is coated in a. She's wearing like a very very loose fitting clothes with her shoulders and arms exposed, and has like a bit of a sparkle to her skin, almost as if she's covered in glitter. And she'll look up to you quite a ways up, craning her neck. And who might you be?
Yes, my name is Nerissa. This is Eli and Frey. We're from the Knights, and I will produce my badge for her to see.
I will wave vigorously.
And what seems to be the problem?
We just have some questions for Mr. Ashworth.
Is everything okay? Do you have a warrant?
Oh, he's not in any trouble. We just need to speak with him.
Well, I have been told that if there is no warrant, unfortunately, I have been asked not to give anyone direct access to speak with him. But I am happy to speak with you if you have any questions.
Who are you?
My name is Cecilia Brearley.
Who are you in relation to Mr. Ashworth?
I am Phineas's guardian, and some would say his mother of sorts.
Sorry, it was Cecilia.
Cecilia.
And
Nice to
why
meet you.
is Mr. Ashworth not speaking to anyone?
It is his specific request. And I believe that he deserves a right to have his own decisions made. Shouldn't everyone have a right to make their own decisions and decide their own fate?
I was just trying to get a sense of like if we think he is actually choosing not to speak with people, or if she is just saying that.
With a 10, what I'm going to rule here is that what you can discern is this is one of the in your like experiences in night, this is one of the types of gnomes that you've kind of encountered that is very adamant about like rights and response and like freedom and like personal freedoms and their liberties. So you, as a authority figure, kind of coming here and asking these questions has caused her to sort of shift her stance, and she's standing in that kind of like, I can't really physically be an imposing factor, but my existence here is imposing upon you getting through. So that's what you know as being somebody who's worked on the circuit for a while. So she's probably, whether or not he has actually said that, she would probably say this anyway because it seems maybe it's her own personal belief based on your experience.
So, as his mother, then you have raised him to shirk his responsibilities and.
Oh, I'm sorry.
potentially-
What responsibilities
Sure.
has he shirked? It seems to me he came home from work just as he does every day and did about his own responsibilities and kept to himself. Please, if there is a crime that you are attempting to accuse Phineas of, you are welcome to present it here, and I am happy to see your legal documentation showcasing that he is currently under some sort of investigation.
I'm not accusing him of a crime. I'm saying that he is not doing what he is supposed to be doing.
See, what you might define as what someone is supposed to be doing is not up to your decisions to what they are supposed to do. I know how you people do these kinds of things, and you're trying to pin him for something that he didn't do. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm certain that's what you're here about, isn't it?
No, actually, it's not. We're here to keep him out of trouble.
Yeah, that's what you all say. I remember when my cousin talked to one of you, and now where is he? He's rotting in a cell. And what did he do? He got in an altercation about some carrots. Carrots, mind you, carrots. No one should ever be put in a cell over some carrots, but he'll be there for another 3 days because he got in a fight with somebody over some carrots. And they were his carrots, mind you. His carrots. They were stolen
That's
from
a
him,
shame.
and all of you refused to deal with the problem when he first brought it to your attention.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
Well, it seems like that this is more of your personal bias than a direct request from Mr. Ashworth. I'd like to hear it
Personal
from you.
bias! Personal bias! I will have you know that is how we are required to conduct business nowadays, is to understand what we know and present facts and information, and I will allow you to speak to me with a better tone, or I will ask that you leave if you have nothing that you are here to accuse us of.
We're
I'm
not-
like across the street, and I'm like, oh, this is going bad from all the way across the street.
What was Frey going to say?
Do we have any documentation about his agreement to keep in communication with?
You do not have any documentation as to that. You have the written word of Conley in your documentation that says that, but you don't know if she would be able to see it because you don't know what is visible to you versus what is visible to the public.
Oh, man.
I will take out a piece of paper and write a note and say, "All right, Miss Cecilia. Well, in a few days."
Excuse me, my name is not Miss Cecilia. My name is Mrs. Brearley. Brierley.
Erier. Can you spell that for me again?
Ley. Wait a second here. I know what you're trying to do here. You're going to go back and try to get a warrant against me for saying I'm being obstinate. You haven't listed the charges, young lady, man. I don't know what this is, unfortunately. Oh no, I'm sorry, you're a lady. It's Frey that she was saying that to.
I have no quarrel with you. I'm simply going to have your name down as the reason that he got in trouble. So, since you don't want to let us speak
Got
with
in
him.
trouble for what? Again, if you have no charges, there is nothing that he's done wrong.
We're not here to arrest him. We're here to talk with him and keep him from getting in trouble.
If he is in some sort of trouble, then there must be some sort of charges you're looking to levy against someone.
If he's in some sort of trouble, that is between us and him, and you're obstructing us.
I am doing no such thing.
Oh, then you will let us speak with him?
He has asked me not to have you or anyone else speak with him. I am merely doing what he has asked me to do.
We will keep that in mind. I thank you for spelling your name so that we get it right.
You knights are all the same. Always so hot-headed, always trying to push your way into somebody's homes. You are the absolute least diplomatic people I have ever met with your pushiness and attitudes. And you walk around here like you own the place. And you know who really owns this place? We do. We are the people. The people are what make this town exist. Without us, there wouldn't even be a town.
Yes, Mrs. Brierley. Well, just so that you know, we're not the ones that showed up with an attitude here. You are. Perhaps if you were nicer to people, they would be nicer to you.
I asked if you had any documentation. I told you that he was not interested in speaking with you, and you persisted to tell me that he was in some sort of trouble without being willing to tell me what trouble he was in.
That's because it's a matter between us and him. We're not authorized to
I am
speak
his
with you.
legal guardian, and you are authorized to speak with a legal guardian about the issues that have to do with the person under their guardianship. Now, as somebody of the law, perhaps you should know that.
Would we know that? Are we authorized to speak with them at all?
Do you have any
this?
ranks in knowledge law?
No.
Okay, give me a base level intel check.
Okay.
No, so I think you're definitely like playing into character here. Oh, that was Eli's roll. Even still, Frey, you would realize after she says that she's accurate on this one, but I think Nerissa and Eli are basically on the right page. Like, this just seems like some woman that, like, even if she's a guardian, that doesn't necessarily mean that she speaks for him, especially because he's an adult now. Why should a guardian be able to speak for an adult?
Is Frey there with us? Or
yes.
Like,
Yeah, Frey said they were there.
So,
with us.
Frey, you would know in this case that if there are extenuating circumstances, even if he is an adult, the agreement that exists or any sort of conditions he might have going on might yield his guardianship temporarily to her as he continues or undergoes whatever it is that he's going through. You know there's something going on in the background that may have some sort of play on this. And that may be why she can act as his guardian. But you're definitely sure at this point that Nerissa and Eli would not likely be aware of this, because it's not like a common knowledge sort of thing in these kinds of circumstances.
Okay.
So you can decide if you want to interfere or not, if you want to step in and say something. But right now you can tell that she's about to read the two of them the riot act for their ignorance.
You do have a point, ma'am. We can share this with you. The person you have guardianship over was supposed to keep in communication with Cecil? What's his name?
Conley.
Conley. I don't know where I got
Cillian
Cecil.
Conley. Cillian was his first name, so that's probably where you're getting the...
With Cillian Connolly, over a matter, and he has failed to keep up, and unfortunately, if this persists and he doesn't get back into contact, there will be problems.
What do you mean he's failed to communicate? He's been doing his thing. He's assured me of it.
Well, then he's not telling you the truth. Mr. Conley has said that he has not been answering his sendings. He's not been in communication with him now for, I forget exactly how long, but...
Frey, can I get a diplomacy check with this? And Nerissa, you can give me an assist here.
Okay.
Yeah, so she will open the door and invite you all in. I am sorry. Like I've said, I've had some terrible experiences with knights before. I just want to make sure that you're not here to take poor Phineas away for something that he has no part in. Please come right in. Let's discuss this more in private.
We understand, and we're sorry for not realizing to talk about the issue with you directly.
Thank you. She will close the door as the three... I don't know if Al and Debobe are following. You're muted, Charles.
I feel bringing a wild animal into this situation would probably not help. So I'm just going to kind of sit outside like, yep.
Fair enough.
Are you just walking Debobe up and down the street like...
Yeah, I'm like one of those guys where it's like, I'm not suspiciously walking my pet.
Well, I mean, you are a knight, so it's not necessarily suspicious that you're kind of wandering the area while these other three have entered into a domicile. So
I'll just keep, I'm going to kind of comb around, see if I can see anything from the back. Is it like,
yeah, you can wander around like the block and around the building a little ways, so that's fine. We can get back to you on that in just a little bit. So you all can enter. You can see that this is a a very humble little home that they have here. You can sit in the living area. There is the smell of something cooking up in the another room a little ways away. Smells a little bit sweet and a little bit smoky. She'll ask if you'd like to take a seat. She'll take a seat in one of the chairs nearby, whether you do or not.
I'll take a seat.
I'll take a seat as well.
Now, what? He's not speaking with Mr. Conley. They had I know they had an arrangement. This would really put him in a lot of jeopardy, would it not?
Yes, it would. That's what we're trying to prevent.
Is that what those other 3 men that came by a couple of days ago? There were a few different ones a couple of cycles ago that came through, but Phineas had said that it was nothing, that it wasn't important, that they were work-related issues.
We aren't aware of any men.
Hold on. You are aware of people that were sent here to speak with Phineas. There were
Yes,
multiple
yes.
private investigators that were sent.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. Those would be probably the private investigators hired by Mr. Conley.
This is not like him. He's been in such great communications with Mr. Conley, and he's been devoted to his work. Are you for certain that maybe there's just not some miscommunication? Perhaps the private investigators did not deliver the actual message with its proper intent.
Perhaps, but then why wouldn't he have answered the sendings?
Well, you know, magic tends to be a bit fickle from time to time. Maybe the sendings just aren't arriving because he's not in the right place. Sometimes you might be in one of those areas where there happens to be a little too much lead or silver in the area, and they don't quite make it to their intended destination.
Well, regardless of that fact, he's not been in communication with Mr. Conley, so he needs to get back into communication with Mr. Conley unless there's something else going on we need to know about.
There's nothing that I'm aware of. He's seemed fairly normal to me. He's a very upstanding young boy, does what he's supposed to. I've been very proud to have him under my guardianship for quite some time. So I don't see any issues there. He's been normal as far as we've seen. The usual quiet, of course, but we let him do whatever it is he desires to do.
Is there any way we could speak with him now?
I could try. Please, wait here for a moment. She gets up and walks a little ways away. You can hear some chatter in the background, and while she is having that chatter, can I get a perception check from all 4 of you in this particular case? Okay, so a couple of things that are noticed. First of all, Narissa, as you are wandering about, or as you're kind of like looking around, listening to things, you will overhear, there is another like small voice. Give me a sense motive check while you're hearing it. Ooh. You're not really sure whose voice it is, but they are having a conversation in some language that is likely foreign to you. What languages do you speak?
Just common and draconic.
Okay, so yeah, completely foreign to you in language. Eli, you are looking around, and you will notice that there is a bit of a sparkle to these walls. Do you bring that up to anybody in the party? Or do you keep that to yourself?
I would probably just say it kind of out loud. I'm like, oh, this is a little sparkly in here.
And from that, can I get a I guess nobody has any ranks in knowledge engineering, right? Okay. So I'll give Ray, because she's got an assortment of knowledges, a intel check. So you know that when you see walls that are sparkly, occasionally that may mean that there's some measure of silver lining or silver like inlay in the wall structure, like sprinkling, and that can sometimes cause distortion of magical effects. Like, for example, if somebody were trying to use some sort of divinatory magic through the walls of the building, the silver within them might cause a greater chance for that divinatory effect to fail to resolve. But that's a maybe that you can't really tell from what you're looking at. You don't have really good knowledge. You just know that in your past of working with the ministry, this is something that you've run into before. And Al, while you are roaming around outside, you will notice that there are next to a nearby tree, there are some small feminine footprints.
All right, we're gonna follow those.
They only exist like next to the tree, as if something had been standing near the tree for quite some time. But it didn't seem like it left any trace of anything once it moved from this location.
Let's see. Can I try a knowledge nature to see if I recognize the?
You absolutely can. Give me a knowledge nature. Ooh. You're looking at them, but you're. Let me check something here real quick.
It's Death Eaters.
There's something about like the fact that the way they don't push in to the thing, that it looks like it's either a very small person or a very light person. But otherwise they look like humanoid track. They look like human prints. They don't look like anything off the wall or strange. Just it's not like deep prints, it's very faint prints, which might be why when they walked away they didn't leave anything else behind.
Okay, I'm just throwing things in the air. I'm gonna look up in the tree, see if I see anything there, like an observation.
Nothing in the trees there.
Okay.
Good thought.
And I clearly don't see where, and you said I don't see where that went.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna continue to around the grounds.
Can I get a perception check from Debobe?
I think he is the more perceptive of the two of us.
And can I get a... hang on one sec. I just need to check something.
Okay.
So Debobe will like start looking at you very strangely as you are like looking at the prints, and will kind of nuzzle you and like then nuzzle the tree and then nuzzle you and then nuzzle the tree.
I guess I'll examine the tree to see if maybe it's a dryad or some shit.
No, but he'll like, as you like look where Debobe is looking, Debobe is like sniffing at the tree.
Okay, I'll examine that area. Or
give me a handle animal here, I think is what you'll need.
Okay, all right.
We'll see if you can interpret it. So yeah, so you're like trying to sort of communicate, and what Debobe is telling you is there's an unusual smell here, something different that Debobe doesn't recognize. There's like the smelling is like something is weird, something is weird. But you know this, like, Debobe does this, and Debobe never knows how to, like, doesn't realize that you can't smell what Debobe can smell. So Debobe's, like, trying to get you to smell it as well, but there's no way you're going to smell whatever it is Debobe is smelling.
Can I take a sample?
Yeah, you can, like, peel off a little bit of bark from the tree.
Okay. All right. Anything unusual about the bark?
No, regular bark. I think that's all you can kind of get from here with those checks.
Yeah, they're kind of lukewarm, huh?
Yeah. Let's go back to the party. Another short, this time kind of blue tinted haired, like blue and silver tinted haired man will come out of the back next to Cecilia. And he will wave to the three of you in the room, and the two of them will kind of walk across the room, head down a hallway, and for a moment you can hear some more, or you can hear a little bit of chatter as they start moving towards there, in another language. Do any of the three of you speak Gnomish? Okay. So you'll hear them chattering in some unknown language, and then you'll hear what sounds like very heated chatter. Give me a sense motive check as the three of you are listening to this.
Come on, guys. You can do this.
Eli, you sense a very strong and uncomfortable amount of aggression coming from the louder of the three voices. You're not exactly sure what's being said, obviously, because it's not being said in common, but it's the kind of thing that you recognize as when somebody's trying to push somebody to do something that they don't necessarily want to do, and they just want whoever this is to kind of go away. There's a very forceful kind of get away from me tone about the conversation. And then a few moments later, the two of them will walk down the hallway back to you. And we will find out the consequences of this conversation and after a short break. See you shortly. The couple walks up to the three of you. He's unwilling to talk right now. He seems very upset. He might just be overworked. Perhaps this is just a byproduct of the day. He's not normally like this.
Did he give any reason why he didn't want to talk?
No, we tried asking, but he said it's none of our business. We tried to remind him that it is our business. Like, we have to make sure that everything is okay. And then she suddenly breaks down in tears, and she kind of turns in, and the male gnome kind of pulls her in close. What he said is that what he said was very hurtful. We're gonna try to have a talk with him, and perhaps if you come by here tomorrow, we might be able to get some better answers out of him. I'm hoping it's just that he's had a rougher than usual day, and maybe he's just in a bad mindset. But it's very unlike him, and but we've had a few small outbursts like this. It's got to just be stress from the day. He'll warm up to us once he's got a good meal in his belly, and a better outlook on the rest of the evening. We're sure of it.
Well, I appreciate your efforts. We will come back by tomorrow.
Thank you.
I hope things go well.
Thank you much.
And I guess we'll get up to leave.
Yeah. The three of you can head out. You can find Al and Debobe standing near a tree a little ways away from the house.
Hey, Al.
Hey, how'd it go?
Not well, I'm afraid. There was a bit of a altercation with him and his guardians. Could be typical family stuff, but we told them we'd come back tomorrow. They said they could talk sense into him.
Yeah, it's difficult to talk sense to the people that are possessed by the you-know-whats. But anyway, so
Is everything okay out here? Was there any
So
suspicious activity?
we paraded the area and we found these interesting tracks that are here. The step appears to be very light.
Yeah,
it
he
didn't go
gestures to a
anywhere.
pair of like little footprints in the ground.
And then Debobe picked up a scent here, but I of course cannot smell what she can. But I gathered some bark for samples, and I'm gonna shove the bark towards you like you can do something with it. I got this bark, and it's so nice to meet Erasmus. Erasmus was a little stuffed shirty for me sometimes. Probably closer to my actual personality, but still a little stuffed shirty.
Can I try and analyze the footprints?
Yeah, you can give me a knowledge nature here, or a gauge.
I was gonna say, are you gonna break out your pants loop for this? Because that'd be pretty epic.
Never mind.
Yeah, so actually survival is also relevant. Thank you for that reminder. So
Just
with
try
the
to roll
knowledge
carefully.
nature, is you're kind of looking at things, and you're kind of you're standing around this tree. There is a scent that crosses your nose, Frey. A somewhat familiar-ish scent. It smells almost like fox-like. If you were in like a fox den, there would be like this kind of scent that would linger around the area from their fur and their musk, that you recognize almost immediately. And the footsteps are sort of faintly impressed, much like a fox would do if it were like stepping around the area, but these prints are very much so humanoid. Eli, as you're looking about the area, you'll notice that there are like some light claw marks that are in the wood, almost like something had scratched at it a little bit. And Nerissa, you will notice not like a strong trail, but there is definitely a trail of something that left this area. Very small flecks of dirt have kind of you can trace from where whatever was here had stepped away. And can I have all four of you give me a perception as you notice the dirt?
This would be one thing Debobe would not be very good at.
Yeah.
Visual perception, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is not one of the things Debobe will be good at.
7, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Eli, you will find a very small piece of a sort of reddish hair, but an unusual reddish hair. To which somebody who got a 27 nature would recognize to be a bit of fox hair.
I'll show it to the group. Look what I found.
There is something foxy going on here.
You should not be read for that. That is quality, and you should be proud of that joke. You should be proud of that joke.
All right.
Great job, Michelle. You're my idol now.
That is all you can really manage to discern, though. There aren't like lots of tracks because there's not enough dirt, and they're moving along a stone road. There isn't any more fur that appears along the ground. Is there anything else you guys want to do here before you go?
I can't think of anything personally.
Is there anyone we want to ask, like their neighbors? Anyone to get more insight on?
Ooh, you mean like some footwork,
Like intel?
Yeah, some gumshoeing, as they would say.
We could do that. I was just thinking, we would try back again tomorrow, but we can do that.
Just an idea. I'm not
Do I
supposed to be the
recognize
one
it as
making
Fox fur?
decisions.
was-
Do you have? Yeah, you didn't succeed in knowledge nature. It's
Yeah.
Frey that recognizes it as fox fur.
Failure as a nature guy.
Yeah, I would mention that that is both like fox fur and also I smelled a fox-like smell around
Yeah,
the
fox
tree.
musk.
Looking around, how close together are these houses?
They're reasonably close together.
If I'm looking around, do I notice anybody like peering out their window or anything like that?
No, nobody. No, they don't have nosy neighbors over here. That would have been nice, right? If you happen to see the.
Sorry.
But no,
I'm just saying, Mrs. Kravitz knows everything.
you guys did not roll well on the nosy neighbors table. So
Damn us. We suck.
but you can still always ask around if you want to. That is a reasonably good suggestion that you guys have offered up.
Yeah.
I don't see anything that fails logic there.
What specifically are we asking about? Just to clarify.
We should ask, if they've noticed anything unusual. Maybe a fox running around. I don't know. Maybe there's been problems with foxes. Do people keep livestock here, like chickens or anything?
Foxes aren't really considered to be livestock. People might use foxes for one purpose or another.
Well, I was thinking. I was thinking more of like a fox might be attracted to chickens if somebody.
Okay. No, there's no livestock in that particular sense. But people around these parts do get occasional, much like people will get like milk deliveries. There's usually like milk and egg deliveries, and they're delivered into like a big container. That might be out front you can have set up. So it's possible that like there may be a fox on the loose looking through these things for eggs or whatever else might be stored in there temporarily. But no actual chickens or anything like that. And whether or not foxes eat eggs, what do you know? Do you know, Nate? I got any knowledge of nature?
I would be asking, I guess, the party in general, what we know about foxes.
Do I need another knowledge nature for foxes?
Yes, give me another knowledge nature about
I've
foxes.
heard they're sly.
Ooh, that's a very good knowledge nature on foxes. What does the fox eat?
I got 23.
That's a
Wow.
perception.
That's perception, Charles.
Really?
He's
I was so
perceiving the
excited.
fox.
Perceive your knowledge.
That's not what the fox eats.
Oh, no, I got only 17. Disappointing.
What does the fox say? Trump was a good president. Wait.
That's exactly what Fox says. They're known for their misinformation.
There's serious misinformation campaigns.
I believe they once piloted some space jets. What was the thing he piloted?
Also, recently they're saying that Russia's doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, I heard that.
I heard their factories are horrible and people jump out of them.
So, one of the things you know that is a common problem around these parts is mice. And so there's a good possibility if there are foxes around these, that there may be foxes around these parts, picking up some of the mice or rats or other like small mammalia that are roaming around here. And there is a pretty reasonable problem with it. Like, a lot of people in this area have cats, and well, many people think like, oh, a cat, that stops mice from being in a house. It does, but it also is a sort of it has a draw mechanic as well. A cat living in your home can actually increase the likelihood, if there are mice in the area, that you will have mice coming towards your house. And so there might be a little bit of interplay here. There are a lot of people around here that own cats. You can see that as you're kind of looking about the area. and there are a lot of mice that are in this area. So it is possible that maybe some foxes have kind of made this a place to hunt.
Are there any cats around?
There are indeed. You can see one in the window of one of the nearby houses.
Are there any outside?
There are none outside, at least that you can see.
It's hard to talk to them if they're inside the house.
Cats can read lips, right?
I don't know if that's quite how Speak with Animals works.
So I would say then we can, maybe ask about, if they've been having problems with foxes in the area. Or, maybe it's not a problem. Maybe they like having foxes for rodent protection. Maybe ask specifically questions about the Briarleys and maybe do they hear arguments going on in the house quite often?
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. Yeah, you can pick a random house to do that too. Are there any things that you're prioritizing about the house that you're going to go up to? Any specific neighbor or across the street neighbor or next door neighbor?
I honestly kind of want to, I would like to maybe do the one across the street. What do you guys think? That, or do you think next door neighbor would have a better chance of possibly overhearing something?
Let's start
We can
across
try
the
both,
street.
right?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can hit both.
Any characteristics about the house you're looking for in particular?
Something that screams nosy.
Well, we already rolled poorly with the nosy neighbor, so I don't think anything in particular. Just maybe the ones closer in proximity to the Ashworth house.
Okay. Okay, you can go across the street, knock at the door. The door will open and there will be a human woman that greets you. Hello, what can I do for you?
Oh, yes. I actually had a few questions. We're with the Knights and we're just having some... we have some questions about the neighborhood.
It's going to shit, isn't it? I knew they would send some knights out here to finally deal with this problem. The riffraff that are running around here, playing around with their magical toys. You gotta stop this stuff. Riding around on those little floaty discs. We can't be having that stuff around these parts. I'll tell you what, if back in the day, if way back in the day Tenzer would have known this is what they were going to be using that stuff for, he would have never made that spell. I swear it to you, one way or another.
Fucking Tenzer.
That's not what it was intended for. It was intended to move goods from place to place. Not for these kids to be riding all up and down these buildings and these fences and these streets.
Have you noticed any animals about, like a fox or anything?
No foxes around here. Can't tell if there's any kids around here, or if there's any foxes around here anyway. All the kids riding around on their little discs.
Yeah, I guess the children would scare any foxes away.
Yeah, they're loud, they're obnoxious. You know, they like to sing those songs all the time.
Oh, what songs?
You know that shit kids listen to is not even music anymore.
Oh, yes. I'm not familiar with the music of the youth, but it is loud, I believe.
I know, they call it smooth jazz, and it's like there's nothing smoother jazzy about this.
Well, what about your neighbors? Which house are we at? Are we at across the street? What about your neighbors across the street? Are they loud, or do they have kids?
I don't sometimes even know that they live there.
Really?
Yeah, it's
they're
always
quiet.
quiet over there. Nobody's. I mean, every once in a while, I see that boy coming in and out of there, and they go out and I don't know, do their thing. I'm sure, but they're nice. They're nice enough. Even when that kid was growing up, no problems from him. A good boy. Didn't ride any of those discs around here.
If only they all could be that way.
Yeah.
Gotta stop with the... I don't even know where to go with the riding the disc around here. Gotta stop with the disc riding?
Yeah. You guys gotta get on that. Why don't you guys go back to where you came from and tell them that we need to put up some signs that say, no disc riding during the day or night. Okay? We get that sign up there. We'll stop them from riding their discs all over here, all over the place. Those hooligans?
We'll see what we can do. I appreciate you bringing this to our attention.
Thank you. You clean up. You're doing a good job cleaning up these streets of the riffraff.
The mean streets?
The mean streets.
The mean streets.
That was pretty great, Steve. I
Thank
love
you.
that.
All right.
Tenser would be spinning in his blue grave if he saw the use
Would
of his
certainly be. He designed that disc for carrying heavy loads, not for kids to ride up and down the streets like hooligans.
Why did I never think of that with a Tensor slime did? You know, never thought, let's skateboard on this shit.
Yep. You guys can head to another house across the street. An older gentleman will open up the door.
Should we lead with we're investigating before we go? Should we pretend we're investigating the noise complaints and then work in the other stuff, or should we just be kind of straight up about?
I think that's the way to play it. We don't want to draw attention to what we really want to ask.
Okay.
Good evening. What can I help you with?
Oh, hello. Yes, we're with the Knights. We're investigating.
I can see that. Yes.
Yes, sir. We're investigating
The
some
village of
noise
the-
complaints.
Yes. Oh, God, the noise. It's always quite so noisy around here. I hear that disc whooshing all the time.
I am indeed very sorry to hear about that.
What'd you say?
I'm very sorry to hear about that.
Thank you. Yes, it's such a problem. It's so loud.
Have you had any problems with wildlife around here, like foxes or anything?
Foxes?
Yes.
You mean that? Is that what we're calling those hooligans that roam up and down the street? They fox their way back and forth up and down the street. The other day, one of them kicked over my milk.
That's so rude.
I bet if Tender had heard about this, he'd be very upset.
Who's Tenzer?
The guy that invented the discs?
Why, I should write a letter to that man.
You should. I don't know where you would address it.
What is his
but you
address? Is it a company? Can I send it to his company?
I think it's Blue Castle, believe it or not.
I'll look into this.
What about across the street there? Are there any loud kids over there?
Across the street? No. The only place around here where there's any children is next door.
Oh.
And he's, I guess, not a child anymore, but sort of seems like it when I see him. Very simple-minded boy. Doesn't say much.
So not very loud.
No, not at all.
All right, and you never hear much going on over there.
No. And I got a good ear for things.
Yes, you do.
What?
I said yes, sir. Yes, you do.
Thank you.
Nobody's been knocking over your milk? We've heard complaints about milk getting knocked over.
I mean, I just said they got milk knocked over.
Oh,
Are you
God,
listening to me?
Yeah, I'm stupid. I mean, I got confused.
I think it's because you're running around with that weird dog there. Your dog looks like there's something wrong with it.
I looked down at Debobe. It's hungry.
Ah, yes. I've seen them get kind of like rough like that when they get hungry. You gotta feed them. Gotta feed those dogs all the time, don't you?
Yeah. This one can't get enough.
All right, well, anything else? I gotta
No,
get back to
believe
my
so.
shows.
I thank you for your time. Enjoy your shows.
Thank you so much.
This is Jeopardy. Topics are wooden ships.
The Tinser Corporation.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just go, I guess, to the other next door neighbor.
Okay.
Oh my.
You can head over there. And an older lady will come to the door. She has she is like rather big, but looks quite old. Has very deep green skin, and protruding tusks. As she kind of opens the door, there is like there's a big cat that kind of like wanders up in between her and starts kind of like figure eighting between her legs as she stands there.
You mean like a large domestic cat, not like a?
It's oversized for a domestic. It's large for a domesticated cat, but it is a very large cat comparatively.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you all want?
Oh, good day. We're with the Knights. We're here to.
I didn't do it.
Oh, we're not.
Neither did my
accusing of
son.
anyone.
He doesn't even live here anymore.
Oh no, we were hearing something about some noise complaints. We were going to ask if you had heard anything.
Noise complaints. Those
Kids
people
on-
complain about those people on the discs again.
Yeah.
Look, you gotta let them have something to do, otherwise they're just gonna get into trouble. This is what I told them about my boy, but of course, they don't want to listen. You get one green skin in the neighborhood and everybody thinks that everything's going to shit.
Well, I definitely don't think that it has any merit, but we're just trying to follow up on it. Tell them they need to see that we're looking in on it, kind of deal.
Frey, the cat kind of like comes out and like wanders around your legs for a moment and then goes back to the woman.
It left a clue.
What about wildlife? Has there been any like problems with foxes or anything like that?
If there were, I'd have seen it. Puss here won't let anything survive if it's animal enough in the area. I caught her eating a pretty good-sized bird the other day.
Oh, wow. Well, what a mighty huntress.
She's got sharp eyes and sharp hearing. Love her for it. It's like having a man around when you can't have one around, you know?
Absolutely. Well, what about next door? Has there been any noise complaints from there? Anything you've heard there?
Only noise complaint ever. If their eyes talked, maybe. Those two always shooting me looks like I'm some kind of monster hanging out next door that's gonna eventually eat their little that boy, whatever he is. I don't pay them no mind. Aside from that, gotta stop looking at me. I raised my kids right. I came up well. I don't bother nobody. They need to quit firing off those looks at me.
I totally agree. All right. Well, I appreciate you answering our questions.
Yep. You're welcome.
You have a nice day.
You too. The cat will like wander over and figure eight around your legs a little bit, Frey. And she'll kind of lean down. Puss, what are you doing over there? Come on, get back in there.
Oh, my friend likes animals. Or
Yeah, sorry, cats just like me for some reason.
That's a little strange. But eventually, like she'll call to it a bit. But it'll stay like close to you for a moment.
like she's trying to say something.
Is the cat trying to say something?
You're gonna ask. The cat's gonna walk back inside and go away. You have to decide whether or not you want to talk to these things. There's only so much handing it to you that I can do.
I also just feel like it would be weird to just start talking to the cat in front of the owner. Be like, hello.
I mean, have you
answer our question?
have you ever seen the way that I interact with cats? I will come
Yeah,
into
just
someone's
to
house
say
and I
that
will
is-
kneel down and I will start going.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a date where we spent 15 minutes watching her talk to her cat. I also was in the middle of a Gloom game, with somebody. This was not Terry. This was a recent Bloom game because I know I played Bloom with Terry, where we stopped so Anne could talk to her cat at great length. So I don't think you'd be.
Yeah. So if you want to engage with the cat, you can engage with the cat. It is your decision. But I'm not telling you whether or not you should. I'm offering it out there because this person happens to have a cat.
And I desperately want to see Steve roleplay this because he's on a roll tonight, and you owe it to us.
If so, that I will.
Yeah, so you can kind of lean down and make like you're gonna pet the cat and like make a few like and kind of noises to it. And the cat will kind of lean in and go, "You smell nice."
God, now the cat is creeper.
What you doing here?
Has a restraining order on it.
What you doing here? You got treats?
I unfortunately, I'll say this and like meow it, but I don't unfortunately have treats. We're here to look into.
I do
boxes?
have those like dried bits of meat that I keep for the hyena if you ever need them, just to let your character know. If that's what the cat
is. That what that smell is? It's not mice. Not yummy.
Yeah, it seems to be foxes.
I don't see anything that looks different than mice. Something with a tail, though, running around here. Much bigger than me. Like you guys. Bigger.
Ooh. Ooh, snifty.
I could give you some details if you had some treats.
I'll like nudge Al. You got any?
Pet you?
Yeah, I got some stuff the Bobe eats.
It can't talk to you. You start petting it. It'll like kind of like lean in a little bit as you pet it. But then of course, like most cats, it'll just kind of like walk away from you once it's had its fill of your pets.
That's acceptable.
I'll ask Al for some of the little like bits of meat.
Yeah, you can grab a couple of bits and feed the cat. While the woman is having the conversation there with Nerissa. These are gonna let you get a handle animal check with me. Very good.
Handle animal in a party, like I mean, these two parties I've ever had in all of my 30 years of playing D&D.
So you like offer up the treats. Yeah, very, very nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, the person with the tail, like you peoples, but with a big tail, big fluffy tail.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like walking on two legs?
2 legs, yeah.
Are there any other defining features?
I don't know. What do you call defining? I recognize him if I see him.
Like length of hair?
What's hair?
Like, oh, yeah, I do have hair.
Oh, you mean your fur?
Yeah.
I don't know how to define length. What's a length?
I'll do like a short, medium, long.
Long, I guess. At this point, the owner will kind of like, that's when the owner will chime in. All right, come on, you gotta get back in here. I gotta get back to my dinner. And the door will close as the cat rushes back in.
That was a cute cat.
Yeah, I guess we didn't really get anything that we didn't already know, but it was worth a shot anyway. You never know.
You were
I think it confirms some suspicion.
You don't hold on. You don't know yet that Frey was talking to the cat until Frey says that she was talking to the cat.
I thought Nerissa.
No, you just hear Frey like leaning down and like making cat noises and petting the cat and giving the cat some treats. Unless
Yeah, that's
Frey
why-
chooses to say something about it, you don't know that Frey spoke with the cat.
Yeah.
We
That's why I was
do-
like, oh, go ahead.
We did get a little information.
You did?
Mhm.
Yeah,
From-
the cat mentioned that there was someone around, a person with a tail.
When she says this, can I have, since this is coming up, can I have Al give me a sense motive check, or a gauge check rather? Okay, Al, you believe that she's not necessarily lying about this, but it feels a little suspect that all of a sudden, like, this person who's never mentioned being able to talk to animals before is suddenly talking to a cat. It's not super suspect because maybe it's an ability she just never mentioned before, but it seems odd that that wouldn't have come up in conversation, that she can talk to cats.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the Bobe side eye for not letting me know about that.
But go on.
Huh. Talking to felines, eh?
Yeah. It's something I picked up just recently, over the past week, probably.
Oh, well, that comes in handy.
At least somewhat.
What did the cat say?
Hold on,
Uh-huh.
comic effect. No, she has to meow with them. I don't know.
The cat couldn't get too many details, but we know, walks on two legs, has a tail, around our size, and long hair.
We're very different sizes, you know.
So I know in the main Pathfinder campaign, at least based on Pathfinder Society, Kitsune are everywhere. Is that the case in this world?
No, Kitsune do not exist.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because there's a lot of Kitsune in
Yeah,
Pathfinder.
there are no Kitsune. They do not exist in this world.
Okay.
Are there were-foxes in this world?
Nope.
No. Okay.
There are no were creatures that are on the record in the entire country of Sarasava.
Okay.
Are there, because this is a real thing, are there, how do you say it? Fuck. It's the other way around. You know what I'm talking about?
Foxes that turn into people that have, like, they got bitten by a radioactive human and now they transform into humans?
Yeah, for Dungeons and Dragons, that's considered a different monster and they have
No.
different abilities. Okay.
There are no were humans either.
Theramines, I think
Okay.
they call them.
Maybe there's just a furry around.
That could be.
Fucking furries.
All right. Well, you
Could be
know,
somebody shape changing into a fox.
maybe we can do a little research in the library. We have time to kill before we have to come back here.
It's not one of our games if we don't go to the library.
All right. Party can head off to do some research then. And I think it is with that we will end for this evening. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.